Doom Eternal is the latest franchise release from Bethesda and id Software. It follows the protagonist, known as Doomslayer or Doomguy to fans, as he attempts to stop Hell's invasion of Earth. To do this, he has to rip and tear his way through wave upon wave of demons, varying in size from zombies all the way to the skyscraper-sized final boss known as the Icon of Sin. The issue that is taken with Doom Eternal, like with other games of a similar nature, is the sheer amount of violence and gore that is present throughout the game. Players can perform a range of attacks from gunning demons down with an array of weaponry, to tearing them apart with a chainsaw, and when an enemy is staggered, can even perform what is known as a glory kill and tear them apart with the Doomslayer's bare hands. Not only are these chainsaw and glory kills present in the game, they're also necessary to use on a regular basis to restock ammunition and earn health and armour. So that begs the question, are video games too violent? Can the finger be pointed at games like Doom Eternal for real life crimes and violence? Or are violent video games a great way for people to vent their own anger and stresses? Christopher J. Ferguson wrote a British Psychological Society article on the question, is video game violence bad? To which he wrote, what a ridiculous question, following on to write, violent video games and mass shootings are two phenomena that have become invariably linked in much of the public consciousness. Whenever shootings are committed by a young male, whether in the US such as the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting, or elsewhere such as the 2011 shooting by Anders Breivik in Norway, they trigger predictable cycles of vehement protests about a downward spiralling media culture of dark aggression. He also continues to mention the idea that politicians put across that these events simply wouldn't happen if violent video games didn't exist. Adam Lanza might remain some lonely disturbed youth, and Anders Breivik a wide-eyed but small-scaled Islamophobe. Such debates began in the early 1990s when the original Doom was released, along with the first of the Wolfenstein series, that popularised the genre of first-person shooters. So, what do the researchers say? Well, according to a New York Times article that explores the issue, including a snippet of Donald Trump endorsing the ideology that video games are an issue in mass shootings, it is mentioned that there is a broad agreement amongst researchers that there is no such link between the two. Psychology professor Dr. Chris Ferguson of Stetson University, who was mentioned previously in the video, claims the evidence is clear that violent video games are not a risk factor for serious acts of aggression, saying the data on bananas causing suicide is about as conclusive. So, if the research has been done, and there is no direct link between violent video games and real life acts of aggression, surely there are benefits to playing games with such high octane violence. Well, it's widely accepted that fast paced video games such as Doom Eternal that require such a high degree of focus are actually more beneficial to the player than detrimental. The game requires the player to learn technical control combinations, which in turn improves hand-eye coordination, and in the multiplayer mode within the game, the competitive nature of the mode increases communication and team skills in a way that traditional methods of teaching do not. A very well-mined study by Elizabeth Scott spoke of the results of a study that read that action-based video games such as Doom Eternal not only reduce stress but can sharpen cognitive abilities as well as reaction speed, continuing to say this can help gamers think more quickly on their feet and likely be more proficient in problem solving, which can reduce stress in other ways as well. In conclusion, it seems violent video games are here to stay. They've become so popular within the world of esports and competitive gaming that they have helped turn the video game industry into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Titles such as Doom Eternal offer a way for gamers to de-stress and vent their anger in a way that is both safe and enjoyable, with hours of story mode gameplay as well as multiplayer modes. In the end, it is really down to the individual, or the parents of young children, to decide whether these type of games are appropriate to play at a young age. Thanks for watching.